Welcome to the Wake Up Call podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Hopkins, life coach, recovering perfectionist, crazy animal lover, and your go-to friend for all things wellness. If you're the type of woman who constantly feels burned out, overwhelmed, and like you have zero time for yourself, then this is the show for you. I'll show you that it is completely possible to live a life you look forward to every single day by learning simple, actionable steps to start putting yourself first. Burnout and overwhelm are not welcome here, but a little bit of crazy sure is. So if you're ready for your wake-up call with a girl who's not afraid to drop an F-bomb every now and then, let's dive in. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Wake Up Call podcast. You know, I worry a lot about mental health, right? It's one of the primary drivers to why I do this podcast, right? In sharing the things that I've experienced with my, journey with anxiety and kind of understanding where it all came from. And I feel really fortunate that I am resourced enough, right, to be able to go after the things that help me feel better, right? Like I'm able to go to therapy, right? I'm very pro therapy. I have worked with coaches. I have been able to go to holistic practitioners, right? Like helping me put together the pieces of the puzzle. And while I recognize this is a privilege I have and not everyone has access to this, I think one thing that we can do is talk about it more. And, I know May was Mental Health Awareness Month and we're now in June, but just because it's not Mental Health Awareness Month, it doesn't mean that this is now, going back to a topic that just needs swept under the rug. So I hope that you hear this and know that it's really important to take care of yourself, to talk about it, to reach out for support. We are at no shortage of things happening in the world today that, to me, the root problem is mental health. So I continue to be very passionate. I continue to be very motivated to keep the dialogue going. I hope that me giving voice to things I've experienced, maybe that allows you to hear something that resonates and gets you thinking a little bit differently and talking and knowing that it's okay. Like many of us are feeling a certain kind of way and a lot of us are doing it alone, like in the shadows. And I just hope this gives you some permission to talk about what you're experiencing, reach out for help, call a friend, call a family member. And more than anything, let's just keep talking about it, keep the conversation going so we can take the stigma out of mental health. That was just on my heart. I felt like I wanted to put it out there just because it's something that, like I said, it's the primary driver to me doing this podcast is normalizing things that we go through in life. And something that is very normal for us to go through in life are times that are very heavy, that we feel unwell in our mind, and it is so freaking important to tend to that. Moving into today's topic for the podcast, there's definitely a mental health component to it, and it ties into this thought of, I think so many of us feel like we have to constantly be chasing, seeking more, right? That somehow inherently in our own selves, we aren't enough, right? And I wonder if this constant seeking for more is causing us to be constantly chasing something that has no end because we are at no shortage of things to compare ourselves to, right? Like unrealistic standards. So when you're constantly seeking for more, are you sacrificing the areas in your life that you're actually content? And let me build off that too. Since when did content become a word that has a negative connotation or association with it? Basically, when did being content come to be equal to settling? Because I think that when a lot of us hear the word content, we think that it means you're not doing enough, that you are settling, you're accepting something that's less than you deserve. And it also got me thinking, like, what does the word content actually mean? Because so many of us are scared to say that we're content. I think we're afraid to say that what we have in our lives is enough because we're afraid that makes us look like we're not like a go-getter or a high achiever. And when I look up the word content, listen to this. As an adjective, it means a state of peaceful happiness. And as a noun, it means a state of satisfaction. And I wonder, do we even know what satisfaction means or feels like? We are so damn busy chasing all these things that are like just past the horizon that I think we overlook what's right in front of us. And when I talk about, a correlation with mental health, to me, I think if we are constantly seeking for something, one, it's very unsettling. Like you never feel that what you have is enough. And more than that, like it's contributing to this not enoughness, right? Like we feel like we're never skinny enough. We're never good enough. We're never smart enough. We're never successful enough. So by default, that means you are not enough. And I don't know about you, but walking through this world with a label that you are not good enough, it's probably going to make you see things through a skewed lens, right? And I just wonder if we could stop labeling content or satisfied as bad or not achieving or seeking enough. I wonder what peace, right? That, let me go back to the definition, a state of peaceful happiness. Is that what we're sacrificing by thinking that we constantly need more? Think about it. Like, when have you ever slowed down enough to just look at what you have in your life, right? Who you are with yourself, your family, like what you have done in your life, like the things you're proud of. Do you ever stop and smell the roses for a minute and say, this is what contentment feels like? I don't think we do. I think we're afraid to. And I think there's a lot of reasons, right? A lot that I've said, we have so much comparison that is just woven into our being in this world. I mean, I think about like we are constantly surrounding ourselves with images that are reinforcing this not enoughness. I mean, freaking social media. How many times do you scroll Instagram? And maybe when you begin, it starts as something that's mindless and, maybe inspirational, but the longer you stay there, how do you feel? I don't know about you, but I find times that when the difference of how I feel when I started scrolling versus when I stopped scrolling, yeah, it's pretty different. And a lot of times when I finally get out of the fucking rabbit hole, I realize I don't feel very good about myself. And it often then prompts me to like go take action somewhere. And that's coming from that not enoughness. You're seeing something, you're surrounding yourself with all of these images of more, better, this, that, the other. And then all of a sudden you discount what's already pretty damn good in your life. So my question for you is, what would happen if you got quiet enough to explore your own mind, to explore your own thoughts, to explore your own values? And from that place, what would you say about your life? Do you have peaceful happiness? Do you have happiness? Do you have things that are filling your cup? If yes, amazing. Take stock in that. Recognize the areas of your life that are just fine exactly as they are, right? I think we have to start quieting this noise of the more, do more, right? That's stemming from the not enoughness, because so many of us are going through our days as the damn hamster in the wheel, spinning, 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 and going nowhere. And that's what I think, like all these things like comparison and people pleasing, perfectionism, we're seeking to be something outside of ourselves, and we're not grounded in our own evaluation, like our own assessment of what enough is. And I wish that more of us could do that. And listen, I'm preaching to myself. It's been a journey I've been on myself of really deciding for myself what is enough. Like, when will I be content? Because it would be real sad to go throughout your whole life seeking something more because you're conditioned to think that that's the right thing to do. And then you look back on your life and say, oh my God, I had such a beautiful life, but I never slowed down enough to recognize it. So I hope that in listening to this, you could start looking for contentment in your own life, and that you could lower the judgment that comes with that word contentment and flip the script, right? Like, look at contentment as it is truly intended. For where are you satisfied? Where are you experiencing that peaceful happiness? And maybe that peaceful happiness is going to come from a place of when you stop comparing yourself to everything and everyone outside of yourself and get quiet enough, spend enough time with yourself. Maybe it means getting off social media for a while. Maybe it means picking up a journaling practice. Maybe it just means watching less TV. That's another place that we get just bombarded with all of these notions of what perfect and good looks like. Like, what are the things that you need to quiet, those influences that are distracting you from getting in tune with yourself so that you can even know what happiness and success and satisfaction is on your own terms? I hope that you can find that space. I hope you could go on that exploration of what contentment means to you. And look, if you find areas of your life that you know what you're accepting now is less than what you are worthy of, you deserve, or that you're capable of, make that decision for yourself, right? There's a big difference between taking action because something outside of yourself is telling you that you're supposed to, versus tuning into yourself to decide, do I need to be seeking something more for myself? And that's what I hope you walk away with, is that really taking a look at the things that you think you're supposed to be doing in your life and finding out, where is that coming from? If it's coming from a true, authentic place, like a voice from within yourself, awesome. Keep going after those dreams, those goals, that vision you have for yourself. But if in that curiosity, you find that the only reason you are doing certain things or pursuing, more, better, the chasing is because of what you see outside of yourself, let that be your decision tree, right? And realize that if you are doing something because it's an influence other than your own, that's not the right motivation. And kind of bringing it all back to like where I opened up with mental health, it's just this fact that I wonder if we could start being more secure in our own thoughts and beliefs of ourselves. What would be the impact, right? Instead of going through our days in this scarcity mindset, like I was saying earlier, this label that somehow we're not enough just as we are. Like, how would you show up differently? How would you view yourself differently if you were meeting your own standard, right? And you could say and decide for yourself, this is good enough for me. Good enough is not settling. I think it's actually where you start to experience more peace, more calm, and more presence. And I'm big on presence, right? When we can actually get rooted and decide for ourselves what is and isn't enough for us. So I hope that something in here spoke to you. It's just been on my mind for a little while and I wanted to get it out there. So I hope for you can start getting curious and start noticing the areas in your life that you are experiencing contentment, and start settling into the fact that that is a beautiful thing. So guys, thank you so much for listening today, and I can't wait to catch you on a future episode. Bye guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Wake Up Call podcast. If you liked what you heard today, I would love for you to subscribe and leave a review. It takes just a few minutes and does wonders for helping other people find the podcast. If you want to connect outside of the podcast, you can do so by following @Alicia D. Hopkins on Instagram. And if you really liked the episode you just listened to, do me a favor. Would you screenshot the episode and tag me? I would love to see what's resonating with you. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope today's episode helped you to see that you can wake up to the change that's possible in your life.